Posted by you/Salty Department 916. Maybe time to get a dash cam. Driving from Texas to Georgia with my 3-year-old and I made it through Texas and Louisiana easy peasy. Literally not a single asshole driver. I know I'm shocked too. I make it to Jackson, Mississippi and I'm about 10 minutes from my hotel and thinking finally we can have a break and I can go to the bathroom. I've been riding in the middle lane behind a minivan for a few minutes and decided to go ahead and get into the right lane since my exit is coming up. He slows down a tad and now my front wheels are about parallel with his back wheels. He starts inching over into my lane, no blinker, and then I guess realizes I'm there and gets back into his lane. I assume I was in his blind spot or he just didn't see me. No biggie, it happens. I didn't blow my horn or make any rude gestures because he corrected himself and it was just a mistake. I keep going and he slows down and gets behind me. He then slams on his accelerator and tailgates me while laying on his horn. I'm completely confused as to why he's upset. Because I was in the lane and he couldn't get over when he wanted? He then jerks back to the left and gets even with me and I can see him screaming. I'm thinking okay, this guy is crazy and make a woman shrugging gesture because I am genuinely at a loss as to why he's upset. With no warning he swerves his car into my lane towards my car and barely misses hitting the driver's side. Yay, defensive driving. As he's trying to correct his path his car starts teetering. It looked like it was going to bounce and then flip over for a second. He corrects his car and then swerves over to the far left lane cutting off other cars and continues to weave in and out of traffic erratically. Thankfully nobody was hurt and he didn't continue to try to intimidate me. If I had done something wrong or that he felt was wrong I am unaware of it. But that doesn't excuse reckless driving. The only thing I can think of that may have upset him is I was passing him on the right, but I had been in cruise control since I was behind him and only began passing when he slowed down. No matter how he perceived I had wronged him, it's not okay that he put mine and my child's life at risk. After this incident I want to get a dash cam, so recommendations are welcome. It all happened really fast and I was focused on keeping us at a safe distance from him so I wasn't able to get his tag number. If you feel slighted by another driver just give them the bird and mutter some curses to yourself and get on with your day. Even better, give them a thumbs down, smiley face, don't put lives at risk because you want to have a temper tantrum like a petulant child. That's some small dick energy. Posted by you/Collar Sudden 6140. Need help. I live in California and was driving home from diner with my GF on a 2-lane highway when I was approached from behind by a driver that was inches away from me. His lights were bright and glaring through my window. There was another car to my right taking up the second lane so he couldn't go around us either and he started to make it clear he wanted around. So I sped up to get in front of the car that was in the lane next to me and was doing almost 85 to 90. Once I got clear of the driver to my right I started to switch lanes so that I could give this driver the road. Once I got into the lane I stared to slow down back to the speed limit and he was so close that he'd have hit me if he didn't slam on lease brakes, so he did and that caused him to lose control and fishtail, and he then hit the side of my vehicle. My GF then called the cops and wanted a unit to come out and when I got out of my car to walk to get his info he was aggressive and said that I brake checked him and caused the accident. I explained to him that I was not brake checking him and that I was trying to not only get out of his way but that I also sped up to clear the vehicle next to me and that I was switching lanes and was trying to slow down as I couldn't see due to his lights. My GF was terrified from him riding our ass and thought he intentionally hit us because he was pissed off. While my GF was on the phone with dispatch he asked me what I wanted to do and I said I need your insurance. The dispatcher asked my GF if he was complying, which he was, and said there was no need to send a unit, that they would only keep the peace, so an officer never came. This bothered me cause now I'm concerned cause he's going to lie to his ins and say that I brake checked him, but if that was the case, I wouldn't have even got over it, have stayed in the lane and brake checked him and had him rear end me. Why would I get over and be attempting to give him the lane if I was going to brake check him? Why would I brake check him in the middle of a lane? There was no aggression, I wasn't mad. I was trying to give him the lane and because he was 1 foot away from me when I was switching lanes and he saw brake lights he freaked out, slammed on his brakes and caused the accident by losing control. This just sucks. Thanks for taking the time to read this and if you have anything helpful I would greatly appreciate it. Posted by you/Lord_Traldermort. Who is the asshole here? I'm driving on a dark 2-lane highway with high beams on and cruise. I see a car in front. After I get closer, I switch off my high beam so as to not blind him. I'm still on cruise, slowly gaining. I see a car behind me. He decides to overtake both me and the car in front of me. But he's not going hugely fast. I'm still on cruise and I'm aware that I need to overtake soon also, but I'm having less and less space to do it due to the other car in the overtaking lane in front of me, but not hugely fast. Here I think I made a mistake because I put on the fog lights. I always like more light in the dark, but I didn't put it in earlier because I could see he was going to overtake me and I didn't want him to see his side of the road in front him lit up by me. I indicate right and move to the overtaking lane. Closer to the car initially behind me than I would have liked, but my cruise has also taken me closer to the car originally in front but going slower. The car that was originally behind and overtaking suddenly brakes in the middle of his overtaking. I thought, maybe he doesn't like the fog lights, my bad, so I switched them off, even though fog lights are angled low so as not to blind like a high beam. I keep going. Then the car continues to brake several times in the overtaking lane until he's parallel with the slow car under the speed limit. I'm thinking WTF. He then goes ahead of the car in the slow lane but still under the limit and brakes again. As I expected him to go faster in the overtaking lane, I now had to adjust my speed to avoid a collision. At that time I had not exceeded the speed limit. I now think the car that originally behind but now in front is in rage mode and driving erratically. I therefore decide to not overtake him as I do not like to overtake erratic cars late at night as they could be intoxicated or worse. Now both of us are in the normal lane. He speeds up a little, then slows down a lot. As I expected him to do that now, I was maintaining a safe distance. He kept doing it a few times before we both had to overtake a truck. Then I had to go on the off-ramp, apparently so did he. Now both of us are on the off-ramp coming to traffic lights for another highway. At this point, I am hugely suspicious of the car in front. As we were coming up to lights and my car is a liveried vehicle with business details, I decide to make the turning in such a way that I was in the other lane of the off-ramp, but when he turned in front me, I would be positioned in such a way he would have a poor view of the side of my vehicle as I turned after him. Now we are on another highway perpendicular to the one before, but this is also dark. I still do not want to overtake him, and as he was continuing to drive 20 miles per hour under the limit, I didn't want to drive even lower than that. So I follow at a reasonable distance with no high beam or fog light. He continues to slow down and speed up. I did not take the next off-ramp towards where I live because there were roadworks earlier in the night, but even with cones removed I'm unsure if it's been completed a bit further on. I did not take the one after as it only leads back to the one before if I wanted to go home. I therefore continue on, following the diversion route that had been in place for the past 2 weeks. After entering a lower speed zone, he now speeds up to 10 over the limit and faster than he was driving on a higher limit section. I do not match that speed. Instead, I move over to the other lane used for either overtaking or turning right at the next major intersection, and also there are potholes up ahead so I always switch lanes there anyway. He does not maintain his speeding and instead slows down so that I would be overtaking him if I stayed at the limit. I decline and brake so I'm still behind him. As we come up to the major intersection, I see red lights with a couple of cars waiting. I didn't want to pull up beside him at the lights so I brake further. As the lights ahead change, I signal first before him to go right at the major intersection even though I am behind him. As soon as I do that, he immediately signals left and turns left at the major intersection. Going straight leads to a major city where I assumed he would carry straight on. Overall it has been disquieting. I swore and felt anger when he tried to brake test me early on, but it had been replaced for most of the journey with anxiety as I realized he was going the same direction as I was for most of the way. So who is the asshole? Or is this a series of miscommunication compounded by the dread of the Black Knight?